Billy Ray, last night, quite a disappointment. And that's kind of the good news, actually. I think that fans have become so accustomed to the Aztecs winning conference games at home that when they don't, we are all down like, what happened? So, here to have that conversation is the coach of the Aztecs, Coach Steve Fisher. Coach, good afternoon, and thanks for being with us.
Gentlemen, thank you for having me.
Well, Coach, like I said, the bad news is, obviously, you guys lost the game. The good news is that there are such high expectations now that fans are actually upset. I mean, it matters to people now, right?
You're 100% correct. And we have created those expectations, and that's why we had 12,414 in there strong cheering for us, because they care, they expect you to win, and nobody's happy when you don't win. And that goes from the head coach to the last fan that came into the building.
And Steve, you expect the crowd to be like that now. You expect them to be that way when you have tip-off. What do you expect now after your team after this loss?
Well, first, BR, I want to voice my appreciation for our fans. They were lights out once again, and they did everything they could to cheer, to try to get us through some rough patches. They helped us on a 12-0 spurt that we had, and we need them. All good programs have fans like ours, and we need them. We need them not to be happy, but we need them to be there when we come back and play New Mexico in that next home game and be louder and prouder than ever.
Mm-hmm. Coach, I thought after the game you said it really, really well. Not that I wouldn't have expected this from you, but you told us the truth. We got beat by a team that was better than us tonight. Are they better, or were they just better last night?
Well, I hope that they were better last night. They are a very good basketball team. They have a lot of players, and they played like a championship team. You have to make plays and not excuses, and you have to make plays down the stretch. They did, and we didn't, and, not to replay, but to replay. Tie score, Jones makes one free throw, we get fouled, and J.J. O'Brien misses a 1-and-1. They come down, we defend, they miss. Birch tips it in. We go down, we miss 3 shots. They come down, same thing again. Shot clock runs out. They took a terrible shot, doesn't even draw iron, and Hawkins tips it in at the buzzer. If you win games when you make plays like they did, and we didn't. So that night, the better team wins. I think we're the better team. I think we're going to go into Vegas and find a way to win. Talking about it and doing it are two different animals. So we now need to not let one loss lead to 2 losses, and we've been really good at that also.
Well, you're also going to have to rebound on the road.
In a lot of ways, yeah. Right. You're exactly right. We're going to have to literally rebound the ball, and we're going to have to figuratively get ourselves where we're next play, next game.
Well, what do you – and, Coach, I assume that today you go back and you watch the tape of the game and you run a practice and you try and fix things that are wrong. Is that what happens today?
Well, what we did today, we had an hour and 20 minutes on the floor, and it was skill building, spot shooting, offensive moves, and defending Wyoming. And we went over and over and over what we think are the most critical things we need to do defensively. Then we came in and spent 30 minutes watching cuts that we had made on our game with Vegas and talked about things that we didn't do and some of the things I just talked about. And I ended it with a 12-0 run that we made when the score was 60-51. We scored 12 straight points. We made plays at both ends of the floor to allow that to happen. And I told them then, I said, this is what you have to do to win. They had 2 baskets that were for sure going in. We blocked shots. We made plays at our end to get that run. And that's what you have to be able to do. We follow that with a 30-minute cut on individual players for Wyoming. So we're preparing, but you look back at what you did, and then you move forward to the next challenge.
All right, we're talking to Steve Fisher, Aztecs coach, after last night's disappointing loss, 82-75 at Viejas Arena here in San Diego, losing to UNLV. The reason I asked about what happens today is because I wondered if you went back and you watched, in particular, the latter part of the game, which I know obviously you did, and were players not in position? Were those guys out hustling, out working in some way? What I was trying to figure out is why were they able to get the offensive boards and get those points off the offensive glass?
Scott, the first one occurred when the MVP of the game, Anthony Marshall, he's a 4-year starter. He's a senior that everybody says he's not a point guard. He had 20 points. When we had our 12-0 run, he made the basket to stop the bleeding for Vegas. And then down the stretch, when it's a 1-point game, he was a guy that penetrated to the rim. We helped. He threw it up on the glass. It didn't go in. And Birch, who is really long and athletic, came and took advantage of the guy that tried to help on the drive and tipped it in. On the next one, we guarded very effectively. Jones took a shot with 5 seconds on the shot clock, didn't draw iron, and we allowed the Vegas player to knife in front of us to get that rebound. That one was on us. The first one was a great play by Marshall that we helped, and then they took advantage of that. So it was a combination of both, but you got to have results. You can't say, well, results. That's the bottom. That's what our business is. Nobody cares what they did. They only care that we didn't get that rebound and they scored the basket. And to be honest, I'm the same way. We didn't do what we had to do to win the game, and that's on us.
All right. Steve Fisher, Aztecs coach, after last night's loss against UNLV. Coach, I would say this. I'm a bright side guy, so I'm always looking for the silver lining. Here's what I would walk away with from last night's game and say, okay, disappointing loss, but, and here's my but. Winston Shepard shows up huge last night, scores 18 points, and this is a kid kind of getting his first real action in the big time of the Mountain West. What do you have to say about his performance?
I thought he was everything you said and then some. He was terrific for us. He came in, played with great composure, used his size and athleticism to get into gaps, and made plays. He had 12 free throws. He's not been shooting free throws well. He made 10 of them last night. He had some great plays defensively also where he got into gaps and played like all of us want him to play all of the time. He had a couple of assists, too, that you run and you say, that's really, really impressive. So you're right. He played very well. We need more of the same at Wyoming, and I think we'll have that.
All right, Coach Fisher with us this afternoon. Coach, last thing. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. We haven't talked about this, but I just wanted to get your take on it. The Jamal Franklin off the backboard dunk. We've talked about your relationship with Jamal, how flexible you seem to be with his somewhat eccentric personality. He's quite a talented guy. He's an incredible athlete, obviously. It was an incredible dunk, but I'm just curious to know what you might have said to him after that game.
Well, what I felt was I felt like the dunk took away from a really hard-fought, tough, grinded-out victory at Fresno State in our conference opener. I think that's what everybody wanted to talk about, not about the gritty effort that we had down the stretch to get a win. And that's what you have to be able to do. What Jamal did, Scott and BR, he made a play that was somewhat instinctive. I heard what he said. He had done it a couple of times in the Drew League and did it in high school. But he was hard on the dribble, had guys running on the wings, and saw the defense kind of reacting to the other people. And when he pitched the ball up, everybody thought he was lobbing it to somebody else. They all looked, and he wound up making an unbelievable play that drew all sorts of attention, but he made a basketball play. And I don't think he made a play just to try to be flashy and get recognition. He made a basketball play that not many people would attempt to make. He made it successfully, and it was what everybody wanted to talk about.
Yeah, and you know what? Even if you didn't love the flash, which it doesn't sound like you were too upset about it, because it sounds like you kind of looked at it like, wow, that was a really great play, and maybe even one that he needed to make. But, that's one of those recruiting plays. Seriously, because when you put together a recruiting tape and you say, ESPN Sports Center, top play of the night, you can get that kind of exposure when you play at San Diego State. I mean, there's another kind of positive, even if there was that I don't like when he does that kind of stuff moment, it really was a great exposure moment for San Diego State basketball.
Point well taken. I think everybody from coast to coast was talking about it. I also had phone calls from a lot of people saying that they watched it on their local news, not on ESPN, where they showed the play on local news. So the point well taken. Yeah. I think young kids look at that and say, who did that? Where did he play? So you use it in any way you can. You make basic plays when you can. That was the play he made, and he was successful with it. So you say, nice play, and to be honest with you, hopefully it doesn't happen too often.
Coach, have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for your candor, as always, and good luck this weekend. We'll talk again real soon.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Coach. We appreciate it. Let me tell you something.
Very funny.
Awesome. Just awesome. Outstanding. Thank you, Coach. I knew you needed a little time to chill, but Coach was ready to make it happen.